Are we hot yet?
Not.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's a good place to start. If you do want to meet someone, though, I think we've learned in like the last, how long has it been?
2 weeks, max.
2 weeks. I remember saying at the end of last year, when I started making content for the Just William Stern handle, I was like, I'd like to meet Dan Fleischman. That was the goal. I was like, he seems like he controls the multiverse. The
multiverse.
You know, like, I don't know, like he has the answers to building a personal brand. Even you knew.
Right? I knew Dan was, from social media.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who he was. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know he had a farm with camels.
Yeah.
I call it a
wild
zoo.
Yeah. It was a
Incredible place.
Yeah.
Who's this guy, by the way?
This is the
Dean?
first
I've never-
episode of
yeah,
Stern
for
Talk
all-
with
yeah.
Dean Lulkin.
Yeah.
We do a Behind the Business podcast with Dean, which is awesome.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to hear his story.
Episode 2 is coming out, and there's going to be I think it was a 7-day delay
Between,
on YouTube.
what do you mean? Between
Dean
one
doesn't
and
understand editing. He's from a different country.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, actually not too far away from Azerbaijan. Yeah, but no, going back to the Dan thing, I didn't know we were hot, but
Yeah, it's okay.
it is interesting when I think for the last 20 years, I've been so stuck working in the business that I never wanted to work either on the business or even outside of the business. And at the tail end of last year, as you guys know, when my dad got super ill, I was like, should I hit him with the time? Should I hit him? Time is something you can give, right? And never get back. So you have to be careful who you give your time to. And I think in your 20s and 30s, you don't really realize it. And I think once you hit, Dean's smirking, what an ass. I say it too much. I'm going to make bumper
That's got to be a record, though.
Oh
for
my
like,
gosh, I was looking at less.
We're 3 minutes into it, and we already hit
At
it with
least
the
3
oh my
minutes,
God.
yeah. And now there's an over-unders, like the Super Bowl prop bets,
Right.
but the William Stern prop bets.
Yeah.
How many times does he say that quote, do you think, in this podcast?
I love it. You know, for his 40th birthday, we made a whole like beautiful board with all of his sayings that we've heard over the last 30
You have
years.
multiple sayings?
Oh, yeah.
How come I only get one?
Come on.
That's my favorite
He's a
one right now.
fountain of amazing knowledge, right? And insight into life, business, relationships, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my specialty.
Yeah.
How come I only get
appreciate
the one
that.
over and over? Am I not in that circle of trust yet where you can give me at least something else?
Yeah, I need to start working on, but
Sorry.
Because my time is...
See, your time is
30 years, Josh.
Yeah,
You've been there for just a
6
minute.
months.
Yeah,
you're
just
right,
a
you're
minute.
right.
But yeah, you start to when people get ill that you care a lot for, or when you get ill, I think it changes your perspective on time. And time is one of those things where it's relative. People always say that, right? Time's relative. For kids, do you remember sitting in a classroom and you're like, whatever, it's 2:00 in the afternoon and 2:10 is when the bell's going to ring. And you're looking at the clock and the seconds hand is going like this. And you're like, this is taking forever. When am I ever going to, when is the bell going to ring? Well, that's time according to the perspective of a seventh grader, right? And then as you get into your mid 40s, time takes on a whole different, how would you explain that? Like the relativity of time has changed.
I think you appreciate time more and more,
Yeah.
especially as you get into your 40s.
Yeah. Josh is so young, he hasn't hit that yet.
Not yet, baby.
But my dad got super ill and then he passed away at the tail end of last year, 2023. And I was like, I don't want to be refreshing Salesforce reports. I don't want to look at this stuff. It's, for one, it's myopic, right? And I need to kind of change the perspective that I have on the business, but I'm never going to change my perspective on the business if I'm glued to 3 monitors at my home office and I'm just watching the revenue. It's like, it's akin to the job of a security guard on what do they call that?
Watch.
Yeah, like the midnight shift. What is that called? The
Graveyard.
graveyard shift. Yeah. And you're like watching these TV monitors at like a hospital, back entrance A, back entrance B, staircase 1, staircase 2. And that's what I do with my time. And I just had this epiphany, but it wasn't really an epiphany naturally, organically. It was epiphany because my father died. I was like, I'm not going to waste any time anymore. I'm going to go hard. I'm going to go ham. And I started working on the personal brand thing, and I said, I want to meet Dan Fleischman. Now, I knew Dan Fleischman from when we were kids. So that's like the caveat. I don't know if that matters because people change as they get older. I didn't necessarily keep in touch with Dan. We weren't friends. But, and this is really Dean's story to tell, but I did want to meet him. And I remember telling that to Dean. I'm like, I want to meet him. I feel like Dan can help me build a personal brand. And so later I would meet Dan, and Dan's like, you want to build a personal brand? It's more simple than you think. It's a simple checklist. You should tell that story of how I met Dan, because I think it's a pretty amazing story. It's not, is it just luck, or is it like more strategery?
Yeah, I mean, luck's an interesting word, right? Kind of make your own luck, right? You make your own luck through everything you do every single day.
Yeah.
Right. And this happens to be a behavior, right, that you practice every single day of building relationships, right? And getting out of your comfort zone, getting out there and doing something, right? So for me, meeting Jeff Fenster, CEO of Everbowl, is just a byproduct of what I try to do every day. It might be some physical activity. We share the same tennis coach, Juan Garcia, right? A great tennis coach at San Diego Tennis Club. And so by doing that activity, you start to meet some interesting people. And Jeff was one of the guys I met. And he told me that Dan's an investor in Everbowl, which I had no idea about. And that enlightened me on how we could get to Dan, right, without sending strange messages on social media.
I feel like you're staring at me and going, I did send a few strange messages to Dan.
We all do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to meet somebody.
Absolutely. You haven't. Josh is like, I haven't sent any just yet. Or
yeah. But it seems like that's the way to go, right? It's
well, he manages his own social media messages. So whatever, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, like all those things he does manage, to my understanding. But you can imagine how many people are trying to message a guy like Dan, right? Yeah. Hey, I've got this company. I'd love for you to invest. Everyone seems like they come to Dan with their ideas. You mentioned it's kind of like a Shark Tank.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it, I'm a fan. My kids are fans of Shark Tank, right? We watch that show together.
Yeah.
And they're building a little community of small business owners that they care about and they invest in. And I think what we learned in the short amount of time we spent with Dan Fleischman, as well as the event we went to last night with David Meltzer, is that Shark Tank is a very high level community, but there are many lower level communities, smaller communities just like it throughout the US. And so there are a number of these individuals, right? We call them thought leaders, maybe, that are building these communities of companies that they coach, they advise, and they invest in. And they invest their time and money.
Yeah, it's like these little mini incubators.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible to watch, and the diversity of industries that they're invested in.
I think the what I wanted you to tell them.
I cut him off. Yeah. So Jeff Fenster.
The toy drive is the story.
Toy drive, yeah.
I couldn't be there, and Dan said, "Well, we're gonna do this. It's the 10-year anniversary of the world's largest toy drive."
Yeah,
and he added an 11th city. So Dan was like zigzagging the United States, probably making himself ill, right? As you might imagine, like going to 10 different cities in like 2 weeks.
Exhausting.
Yeah, doesn't sound fun, but it's the 10-year anniversary. And so I think that's why he was doing it. And they ended up adding an 11th city, which ended at Everbowl,
In
headquarters in San Diego. Yeah. And so my dad, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were either burying him that day or he died that day, and I couldn't be there at the toy drive. But Dean took his son and went to Target and spent a few $1,000s on toys.
Yeah, Cardiff spent a few thousand on toys.
Okay. And that's CARDIFF.
.com. No.
We wish it was .co.
We couldn't get the com.
We can.
Yeah.
We can. At this point, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The company
I like
the company that was Cardiff.com was a software company in San Diego, went out of business. And I think their only asset left is that website.
But yeah, we went and we delivered these toys for the toy drive. And in turn, right, I went upstairs. We'd visited Everbowl headquarters before because you guys had shot a podcast with Jeff.
That was fun.
Right, which is really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To watch. And we went upstairs, and Dan and Jeff were standing around with the real Tarzan from Wild Jungle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so, we kind of went up with my son Asa and introduced ourselves.
Was Asa your security blanket?
Kids are so funny, right? When you're meeting people that you may not know.
This is good advice, by the way. This is good advice.
Yeah, it's kind of new learnings, right? New life learnings. When you're meeting people, probably more so men than women, that you don't know, and you might find intimidating, or you simply just don't know them well, bringing your child is an amazing asset because it's such a disarming thing, right? No one can be mean to a child, right? And so people automatically...
No, that's not true. People can be mean to children.
They are mean to children.
Yeah, children can be mean to children. I think it's difficult for an adult to be mean
But
to
in
children.
this scenario, right, everybody shows their better side, right? The better version of themselves, because they see that there is a 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11-year-old child standing in front of them. And I think it puts them on their best behavior.
Yeah.
So, and that I think gives you an advantage, right? When you're meeting someone new.
Yeah. So just bring your kids to every event.
Bring your kids to every business meeting.
Yeah.
Right. My son was asking me why he wasn't allowed to come to Vegas. He would have been great last night. Would have been fantastic.
A couple reasons.
Yeah.
We can think.
I can think of a few, but yeah, continue.
I said, you're not 21.
So you walk up to Dan and Jeff, and then what?
That was
Put your
interesting.
kid in the mix, and you're like, hey, get in there.
No, I mean, I'd already met Jeff, and Dan didn't know who I was, right, at all.
Yeah.
And so I tried to introduce myself because I remember Dan when we were little kids, and we'd gone to Sunday school in San Carlos, part of San Diego. And, he was probably a few years younger than us, but I remember him from those days. And, I said, hey, do you remember Will or I? And he said, I don't think so. And so it's an interesting moment when someone says that, the thing you were hoping to pin the relationship on has disappeared, right? It's melted like an ice cube right in front of your face. Yeah. And what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
And so you better think on your feet, right? And so I just said, hey, let me tell you about the cool business we built over the last 15, 20 years, right? And so all of a sudden, right, all the ears in the room perk up, right? And everybody's interested. And so, that's an intimidating thing to do. But, as small business owners, right, the folks listening, right, that's something that you have to do, right, in your daily life when you're working on the business, not in the business, right? Put yourself in uncomfortable situations and do the thing that makes you sweat. And that'll be worth it.
It sounded like it was. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's how I think we got to talking and met Tarzan, and Dan said he's got this amazing place with 200 animals in Temecula, California. 240 animals.
Just remember.
And he said, why don't you come hang out and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then the rest is history.
Then we got chased by ostriches one time.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. That's right.
Those were real. They were emus. If they were ostriches,
would have been dead.
Would have been a big problem.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Yeah. Where was Lev with the video camera then? That could have gone viral.
Why wasn't Lev?
The way Will was like...
I was trying to get them back and they...
Was I freaked out?
Wait, tell us.
I was like, don't make any sudden moves.
He was like, don't make any sudden moves, but he was like walking, but he was scared shitless.
Well,
that was terrible.
I mean,
Dean
it
was
looked like that animal could kick you.
And eat us at the same time. There was 3 of them. There wasn't just
I
one.
think if they peck you, right, like with their beak, that looks like it's going to hurt a lot.
Badly.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to tell us that you were just bitten by a camel.
Oh, did I tell you that?
No.
I don't even think that's,
Legal.
yeah, dude. I don't,
Maybe you shouldn't, because remember last time?
I signed a waiver.
We all signed waivers.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no,
like a non-disclosure waiver? Or
no
like
liability.
No, it's like a liability, like we hold them
Remember
harmless.
last time when I was there, at least, who was at the front gate? Remember
Kane?
Border Patrol?
Oh,
Not Border Patrol.
no. It was the like
Animal control.
Animal control, yeah. Somebody called in like a bogus.
Yeah, because the snakes or something.
Yeah.
Like,
What did he say? Like, we're here, it's probably bogus, it's from PETA.
yeah.
And they said,
But I don't want PETA hearing this and be like, oh,
I think we should call it a camel kiss. Let me revise that.
There we go.
You weren't bitten by a camel. It was a camel kiss.
I don't want to talk about it.
Why were you so close to the camel?
Let's not even get into it. But they have flat teeth.
Oh.
So it was like, anyway, it was an odd feeling.
Fast forward.
What
rewind.
an incredible place.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an
Wow,
it's crazy.
What an incredible place.
What an incredible place.
I've been there now 3 times. I've brought my kids there twice. It doesn't get old. It's 26 acres. They're doing so many different projects there. Have you done the American Ninja Warrior course that they have?
No.
Okay.
Have you?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I have.
Did you make it?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Have any footage?
I did the small one. Were you there, Love?
I wasn't there that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the American Ninja ramp, the one that kind of looks like
But he
this.
told me he totally made it up every course, and he had the fastest time.
You
They
did
had
it
the
too?
fastest time too, right?
It was fun.
But they have so many things, and I don't mean to make this like a commercial for the Wild Jungle, but I think just as like a property, they have a sort of an indoor. What do you call those things? Where it's like, Navy SEALs or the SWAT team can train in like real life situations where they're like opening doors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of clearing rooms, and then the people that are monitoring it are watching from above, from that vantage point. So they have that. They have the American Ninja Warrior course. I think Dan's working on something right now for the sort of the equestrian component of the upcoming LA Olympics, like 2026,
Exciting.
28, something like that. And then they have 240 odd animals, a terrarium with snakes and what am I thinking of?
Lizards,
Iguanas.
dragons,
Dragons.
Komodo dragons.
Komodo dragons.
Huge
yeah.
ones.
Yeah. So it's pretty wild.
I saw a racetrack there. Was there a racetrack?
Yes. Yeah. And Dan and Kane took our kids twice now on ATVs and
UTVs.
and UTVs.
What's a UTV?
It's like a 4-seater,
Oh,
2 to
yeah,
4
yeah, yeah.
seater,
Like those razors,
a buggy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Essentially, like a dune buggy.
Yeah.
And there's like
Saw a lake. He said he had a helicopter.
he has a
pad.
lake, helicopter pad.
The whole thing.
Yeah, full sport courts.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has
basketball courts.
pickleball
Yeah.
courts, basketball.
Pickleball, shout out pickleball.
That was the whole reason we got chased by ostriches.
Yep.
We asked Kane, we're like, hey, we've got some free time. We want to go play.
Shoot some basketball.
Shoot some basketballs. Yeah. He's like, yeah, dude, just go through there, hang a right, open that gate. And dude, you're right there.
Kate said, "You're really tall. You should go play basketball."
Kane said that to you? Yeah. 45 years old, still worried about his height. But in any event, we made a wrong turn.
Yeah.
Wrong turn. And because I'm always looking at my phone, I'm not paying attention to where I was going. And I started to realize that I'm in an enclosure with these wild animals. And like, dude, first of all, they run fast, and they're pack animals, so they run together. So it's like, listen, if you see a spider on the ground, you're like, what? Right? That's crazy. If you see a squirrel or something, you're like, that's wild.
Cute,
Yeah. If you see a pack, and I don't even know if that's the right like counter term or whatever, but if you see a pack of ostriches running full speed at you, it's a different feeling altogether.
I think one of us stopped and said, "Hey guys," and we all looked up and we're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, don't make any sudden moves. Don't get crazy.
Like he was an expert all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It was the greatest.
I didn't want to go like that. Like de novo motivational speaker William Stern died today at the age of 44 at the Wild Jungle in Temecula after having been trampled by a
And pecked.
eyeballs pecked out or
to
whatever,
death.
right? By a flock of seagulls. No one's listening to this. I'll just say I love the flock of seagulls. If anybody doesn't like that song,
Yeah.
I would walk.
You want other
500
horrible
miles
references like the movie Wall Street from 1987?
Yeah.
You know, I stared into the eyes of the emu and nothing stared back. And that's when I found my character.
That's when man discovers his true
Yeah.
character. Yeah. Because their eyes are black, right?
There's nothing there. No, I stared into the emu's eyes.
Yeah.
And I was scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys are aging.
You're not that,
pretty bad.
you're not that young.
I'm pretty young.
Well, let's transition. I'm
the second youngest.
Let's transition. You're not the second
old are you?
youngest.
30.
Good job.
Yeah.
He's like 19.
Yeah, he's handsome.
He's getting up there now.
So listen, we told the Dan story.
Yeah, fast forward. I look on Instagram and I'm seeing you at like a JSX and you're flying to Vegas. Like,
Yeah. Shout out to Southwest Airlines who I had to
They
write
saved
this
your
morning.
day.
Yeah. I'm so embarrassed.
at least you admitted it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I didn't post it to social media. Like, here I am getting onto my
Southwest.
737
Who
Max.
You two.
Was that what it
Oh,
was?
is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, I thought it was a school bus. Interesting.
What
At least your door didn't fly off.
Well, when we first got on the flight, we were looking at the like that oh shit pamphlet.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, this is a 737 Max. And as like we're walking down the aisle of the airplane, right? Lev and I pass by the emergency exit rows, right? Where can you call them stewardesses? I don't even know.
No.
Flight attendants? Whatever, dude. Cancel me.
Done. It's over.
walk past the flight attendants and no one's sitting in the exit rows. No one. And Lev and I look at each other and we're like, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. So usually I don't listen to people on airlines when they're like, please buckle your seatbelt. I'm like, I'm not going to buckle my safety belt. I'm not even going to turn my phone into airplane mode. If the plane crashes because my phone wasn't in airplane mode, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Build a better airplane.
Yeah.
Do better. But
Because JSX planes don't crash
oh Jesus.
when
Jesus.
when you use Starlink Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
right? So you're able to do it all the way from the ground until you land.
That's pretty fancy.
And so, how come you're allowed to have your phone on there,
right.
but
Not Southwest.
on the
It
Southwest?
doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense.
But the only thing I was keen on abiding by on this flight,
Is paying attention to the.
no, was actually fastening my safety belt. Because the truth was, it's a 737 Max. Their fucking doors fly off. I'm like 5 rows back from the emergency exit.
You get sucked out.
Yeah, I'm getting sucked out. I'm wearing a seatbelt. I don't know if that matters. It's probably going to suck the whole. It's probably going to suck
seat.
the whole seat. Yeah, and I'm going to be just like,
Well, no one died on the other flight, so I think.
yeah, because I think there was no one
Just
sitting.
out of sheer luck.
Yeah.
No one was sitting in the.
No one was sitting in the
exit row.
emergency row. So anyway, what a terrible flight. What a terrible flight. I was sitting next to Lev.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, no sponsorship. But I was, but the whole point was that we were at the Wild Jungle a couple of days ago and Dan goes, you know, we're putting on a dinner and he mentioned the word Cipriani. And I'll just put it out there, right? He mentions the word, we're gonna have dinner at Cipriani on Tuesday?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. This is Monday, right? Yeah. We're at the Wild Jungle on
And
Monday.
we've been to Cipriani.
Yeah. Dean sent
We
back a
knew how
bottle of wine
intimate
there.
the restaurant was.
Vegas?
Yeah. Dean sent back like a $500 bottle of wine.
You sent back?
Yeah.
I think you told me this story once.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Well, first of all, it's Italian wine. So start there.
Yeah, which I like time to time.
Nobody does. No one goes,
Sorry,
wow.
Italy.
So, yeah, no, I'm going to get canceled by the country of Italy. They just don't make good
Your
wine.
passaporte. No,
Denied.
thank you. Denied.
Don't think they're Mexican. Yeah.
Do my best.
Yeah.
That was a good try.
For a Russian. Hard money, Dean. But he did invite us out to, well, no, that's not true. He goes, we're at the Wild Jungle, we're hanging out with him. Dan, Dean, and I have this partnership because we're building something called Elevator Funding for Dan, which is just basically enabling his community and his followers, his base, to have access to working capital, right? So he has a huge base, and all of those that follow him are likely entrepreneurs, business owners. And Dean and I had this idea with Dan, like, hey, we can build this business with you, right? We've built Cardiff. Cardiff's a 9-digit company, been around for 20 years. We understand how to build lenders. We can build this platform for Dan to help his followers get access to quick and affordable capital. And so we were finalizing some of the details there at the Wild Jungle on Monday because Dan was in town. We drove up from San Diego and we're kibitzing, going back and it's Yiddish, sorry. We were, he was like,
what just happened?
Sorry, the
Did you just have a
Egyptian
stroke?
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
He is Egyptian. Just remember that.
African.
We were very close. Close
You
proximity
have one
friends.
cool pyramid. Come on.
Two.
No, they have 2, bro.
2 pyramids?
Yeah. Your family
camels.
built them.
Now we're all
It's
canceled.
getting real.
Unclear. Unclear. There's a lot of debate on TikTok about who built them.
Well, Joe Rogan says it was done.
That's
by
right. It was Joe Rogan.
aliens.
Aliens. We'll talk.
Makes the most sense. But getting back to it, Dan's like, we're gonna. I don't know how we were talking. It was very organic. He was just like, I'm gonna head over to Vegas. Oh, I was like, hey. It was like 2 PM. I was like, how much time do we have? He's like, well, I got to get out of here at 3:55. I got to do a Zoom call at 4 because he does some business coaching for some like high level entrepreneurs. Well, I was like, no, dude, you're going to be gone for like an hour. I'll stick around. He goes, nah, don't. He's like, I got to catch a flight. I got to get out of here. I'm heading to Vegas, putting together a dinner tomorrow night with David Meltzer, who I want to introduce you to. So remind me about that.
Love him.
Yeah, you'd love him. He's like a relatable Tony Robbins. Like you meet Tony Robbins and immediately he's trying to get you to like walk on the coals and stuff like that. David Meltzer would take you to like In-N-Out Burger, right? He's just like a normal.
Puts you at ease very quickly.
Yeah.
He's that type of personality, that type of vibe.
That's good.
Which is weird because he's a lawyer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, you wouldn't expect. I mean, so is Fenster, right?
Oh, yeah.
They both followed that same path.
Yeah.
But so he's like, no, I got to get out of here. I got to hop in a plane, throw on a dinner with David Meltzer tomorrow at Cipriani. And I was like, usually I don't do this. I feel like Dean does this. It's a very immigrant Dean thing to do. I went up to Dan's like, yeah, we're going to go to Cipriani. And I was like, sounds like an invitation. And it came off so naturally. I was like, sounds like an invitation. And I looked at Dean and went, and he's like, you should come. I was like, Dean, are we busy? I'm like, Dean's my like significant other. Are we busy? Dean's like, I don't think we're busy. I was like, all right.
Sold.
So my family was at the Wild Jungle. Dean had to bounce. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to hop on a JSX tonight and go to Vegas.
So you invited yourself, essentially.
Yes, which is a very Dean Lulkin thing to do.
I don't know Dean that well, but it does sound like something.
That does sound like something like.
But not really. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah,
It's a very
is
Dean
it?
Lulkin thing to do. He's not afraid of.
Anything.
Right.
Or any repercussions, I've noticed.
I don't love tiny rooms with 50 strange men inside of them. It's hot.
We're going to get canceled by every protected category of person.
This is going to be a tough
Men
edit.
are protected category? I think we're going to get canceled. I think we're good.
We're good for a couple of years.
So I told my wife I'm going to take a JSX to Vegas. We Uber over to Carlsbad and we hop on a JSX that night. Shout out to JSX.
So many brand names.
I don't get paid to support them. I happen to know their head of marketing, Ben, but I just love that airline. And stay tuned because Elevator Funding is going to sponsor JSX's cocktail napkins. You heard it here first.
Nice.
Yes.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah. Dude, everyone that flies that airline owns a business. They're giving you a cocktail napkin. I wanted to say Elevator Funding. People are going to be like, what is it?
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Elevator. Hold on. I didn't finish my pitch. Okay. And they're going to head.
Keep going.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Okay, now we're getting
God, now he's saying the
yeah,
F word.
F word.
Oh my gosh.
I was going to say accept the website.
Okay. Continue.
I'm going to do it over so I can get a clip
Yeah,
of it.
that was.
Everyone who flies JSX's planes, sorry, do it over.
Take three.
Lev's like, I quit.
Yeah.
Everyone who flies with JSX is a small business owner, right? Entrepreneurial. Whether they're an executive at a company or they own their own business. And the idea is we put elevator funding on the cocktail napkins. People sit down, they get their drinks, they look down, elevator funding. Doesn't say JSX. What is that? And of course, it's going to say elevatorfunding.com. And they have free Starlink. They're going to head to that website. Fast and affordable access to capital for your business. Boom. A la Dan Fleischman. Okay.
What's
Plug
on
it.
the napkins now? Nothing.
Either they're
Great
blank.
question. They were blank.
I think they're
That's
either
that's low hanging fruit right
No,
there.
And
This is a
Dan's
slam
going to
dunk.
make it happen. I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
introduce Dan to Ben. Ben's the head of marketing at JSX. And we're going to make a deal.
Dude, that's awesome. That's a good idea.
We'll cover the cost of the napkins. Just let us put them in your airplanes.
Yeah, print them out.
Yeah.
it.
I'm not going to print them.
I'm sure
Very
you won't.
Egyptian of you.
Yeah, very-
Just like with inkjet printers and stuff like that. Hello.
Laser jet.
Here's next week's
Make it a QR
napkins.
code.
Oh,
There you go.
interesting.
With elevator fund. So they don't have to do anything. Just scan.
That's even smarter.
Boom.
Dean
Right
was
to
trying
the
to
website.
create some T-shirts for these podcasts.
I'll be wearing them
you have
soon.
You know what? Just wear a T-shirt with a QR code. That's even dope.
Can someone do something with that?
You can scan it.
They can scan it.
Seriously? So if they see me with a QR code on my shirt, they can scan their phone
I've
to the
done it.
screen? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I like
Sold.
that idea.
I think you should just,
I'm in.
just even put it on your Rivian.
Yeah.
Just your rabbit and the QR code.
No, I mean it's just a QR
Nothing
code.
goes on the cars.
It's just a QR
bad
code.
experience. A lot of bad experience.
Oh my god.
No car wraps.
Dean got accosted last time one of his cars were
Accosted like by who or what?
by
Some drunk
by
people at a
drunk guy.
hotel,
Yeah.
and my wife was pregnant.
Oh,
That was really unpleasant. Just happened to have a car that was wrapped in our Cardiff stuff
and he was.
many, many years ago. And they just started, like, they thought it was funny.
But they had no
But
affiliation.
my wife
with
is
either.
pregnant with a giant belly trying to get out of this car. And these two drunk idiots are saying stupid stuff.
All right, transitioning back.
I had a question for you about JSX.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a brilliant concept. We can't wait for them to expand beyond just flying to Vegas from San Diego.
Right.
How do you know that the people flying this airline are small business owners or business owners at all? You can be messy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you'll excuse me and allow me to be messy, for the most part, every time I've flown JSX, they look like business people.
What does that mean?
Well, they're not carrying backpacks, and they don't have a lot of luggage in tow. So generally, the demographic, I think, skews a little bit older. I would say like 50 to 60, maybe mid 40s to 60, somewhere around there. It skews male, definitely. And a lot of times I see them wearing, you said I could be messy.
Oh, yeah.
Like a polo
You
shirt.
said no one's watching this.
Yeah,
It's
well,
fine.
absolutely no one's watching this. But maybe with a polo shirt emblazoned with like a company logo, something like that. So that usually is like an indication to me that, they're a business owner. Yeah. Why do you ask?
I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting for business owners to understand what makes them unique. What's so special about a business owner? Like, how do you figure that you're different from everybody else? Because it's a different breed of animal,
Yeah.
right? So,
I think a lot of times when you're
Josh, you're a different breed of animal.
I think when you're on these airplanes, it's an opportunity to network. And I think in my younger years, you see other people, you get the feeling, the hint that they're business owners, and you don't take that leap to introduce yourself and ask them what they do. But the truth is that's how business is done. Business doesn't get done by hiding in a corner and cowering and pretending that the problems of your business are insurmountable and are no different than the other guy that's not maybe cowering in the corner, right? To assume that everyone has different problems than you is illogical. They all have the same problems. They have problems with their employees. They have cash flow constraints. They have this, every business, doesn't matter what industry. And that's the relatable aspect of owning a business, which is just telling these war stories, right?
And we see this over and over again on JSX.
Yeah.
No matter what they're wearing, no matter how they look,
Yeah.
we see them look to the left and look to the right.
Right.
Introduce themselves and ask, What do you do?
Yeah.
Right. And why are you flying to Vegas?
Like when I was younger, I thought, gosh, that's so uncomfortable. I don't want to tell anyone what I do. I don't want to know what anyone does. Now here I am, fast forward in my 40s. I'm like Dean Lulkin, just going up to everyone, like I'm William Stern, right?
Yeah. But we're all just, Dean Lulkin. It's just an evolution of something that's taken, 40 plus years. I don't think I was like that in my 20s or 30s, right? All of this is an evolution of fears and biases, right? And anxiety.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Double down on that one.
Yeah. So
Say it again. I'm going to close my eyes.
Right.
Anxiety.
But you told me that you just said no to everything. Like you were in a shell.
I did. I was in a shell.
It was more of a choice, but I don't know what the choice was based off of.
Well, it's not a choice, right? It's
It sounded like his was. Like he would say no to everything.
blocking something out
Yeah.
that you're afraid of or don't want, right? It's
What did
human.
you not want the last 20 years? Human interaction?
I didn't want to be sold. I think, once you get a little bit of money, of course, the phrase, a fool and his money are quick to part ways or whatever. I didn't want to
We got another quote.
I don't think that's,
I don't think that's mine.
No.
I don't think that's mine.
it's from Aesop's Fables or something.
Right. Absolutely. From Aesop's Fables. It involves two animals.
Animals.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to tie animals into it.
Yeah.
Keep the wild jungle theme going.
But yeah, I think I was afraid of losing what I had, as opposed to using it as a foundational opportunity to grow from. I was so worried that people that people who were approaching me with ideas and opportunities and investments were all looking to fleece me. And now as I get older, I realize they are looking to fleece me, right? But I have the maturity, the understanding, the wherewithal, the experience to say no. But if it sounds interesting, to negotiate through the mess and get to a mutual understanding that benefits both parties. I think, the perfect example is setting up these entities with people.
These private label funding solutions.
Right.
Right. That cater to a particular audience, right? The audience that watches each of these individual influencers, thought leaders, coaches, right? Business advisors.
I'll give you an example. So we built one with Dan, which is about to just take off, right? It's going to be amazing. Bradley, Cody Sanchez.
That Cody Sanchez has an amazing ad from about 4 weeks ago. She did something called the no suit method.
If you can remember, Lev, put not a link, but the Instagram reel, right? From Cody Sanchez here.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and watching her in front of it's not a blackboard, it's a green board. And she's literally writing with chalk on a board, describing the business owner's struggle to find capital for their company, called the no suit method. And what are we, and you finish this thing, maybe it's 30 seconds long. And what did you just watch? You watched an ad for Cardiff, but you really watched an ad for Contrarian Funding, right? Contrarian is Cody's brand. And I tagged Dan in a comment, right, inside of this reel.
Yeah.
Inside this post on Instagram. And I said, Dan, this is an ad for our products.
Yeah.
And it's an ad without a product because she's not selling anything. She's not talking about a solution. And as you read the comments, you note that the comments are filled with business owners asking, so where do I get the money? Who are these private lenders? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And there are no answers.
She was talking about business owners who face cash flow constraints. How do they get access to capital? And so she's describing this, right, on this blackboard or on this chalkboard rather. And that's the context, right? That's her video. And her videos go on and on and on and on and on.
Pretty long.
Pretty long. And they should be short form, but she kind of she's a YouTube long form gal. And for Instagram, I think it's tough for her to make that sort of pivot to shorter form. The problem is with like long form content that's trying to get crammed down the throats to teach these illustrative examples. I think it's tough for her, but I think Dean made a great point. He said that it's an ad for something with no product. So if you look in the Instagram comments for this reel, how do I get access? How do I get access? What is this called? Where can I find this? And so Dean puts a comment down there and he's like, Dan, this is elevator funding. And the truth is that Cody Sanchez has a captive audience of small business followers. So does Lisa Sutton, if you know who that is. She teaches people how to buy cash flow positive small businesses with limited upfront investment, mailboxes, that type of thing. And so you have all these thought leaders that are in the entrepreneurial space: Bradley, Cody Sanchez, Lisa Sutton, Dan Fleischman, Grant Cardone, all of these thought leaders. Grant Cardone probably skews a little bit more towards real estate, whereas Cody Sanchez is more sort of in our vertical. But the truth is that their followers are all business owners and they all want this product. It's a needs-based product, right? If you don't need the money, then don't take it. But if you need it, right, then you need it, right? And so it's one of those things where it's like, better to know me and not need me than to need me and not know me. So that's what we're building. I think it's interesting. And most of the reason why I think it's interesting is because finally I've met some people, Dan included, who want to sell this product. You know, sometimes when you own a business and you get passionate about telling people, you can tell. It's like talking to a girl. Their eyes are avert. Their posture, or I shouldn't say their posture, but like if you're talking language, their body, like their feet go 45
perpendicular
degrees.
to you.
With Dean, the girls go perpendicular. I'm just kidding, but yeah, you can tell they're giving you all these like cues
about Dean.
Apparently,
yeah, hateful episodes.
It's projection.
You guys have been with each other for 3 days. I mean, it's gotta come out 3 or 4 days straight.
We'll be back.
I think
we'll be
30
back.
years.
We'll be
I
back.
don't think it's 3 days.
We'll be back together on Saturday
Nice.
for the $100 million mastermind.
Yeah.
I think you should come. I think it'd be really fun. Great networking event, high level entrepreneurs, people who would want to push this product to their followers. But in any event, you can tell when people are like turned off. So generally I don't like to tell people what I do unless they ask. And then I give them like a 15-second elevator pitch, right? We lend money to small businesses. What do you do? And if they start asking questions, then you know they're interested and you can kind of continue the conversation. But I think that's the biggest project that we're going to take on in 2024, which is taking, and I think Dean put it brilliantly, which is that you have all these entrepreneurial thought leaders. They don't have products to sell.
Or terrible ones, or they sell the worst ones you can imagine.
Like merchant processing. Dean, give us the example, right? Some of these people that we're talking about, they sell merchant processing. And it's like an affiliate type relationship. They're not actually the processor. Right. But help Josh understand, help the viewers understand. There's probably at least, are we live, by the way? Are we doing this YouTube live?
No.
We don't know how to do that.
Not yet.
Fuck myself.
You need an iPhone to be able to do that.
Albert Preciado goes live 17 times a day. Shower, gym,
Gary
toilet.
V, David Meltzer, Brad Meltzer. That's his brother.
Is Brad Meltzer? Brad Meltzer?
I think it's his brother.
Is he the guy from Ocean's 11? I love that guy. Brad Meltzer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real good looking guy.
Yeah, very good looking. Used to be married to Angelina Jolie.
Is that her name?
Yeah. But help people so we can cut this up and get a clip, right?
Yeah.
The reality is these thought leaders, in my opinion, have audiences that are entrepreneurial, that own small businesses, maybe even medium-sized businesses. But the only product they seemingly have to sell is coaching or masterminds, which I'm sure are
beneficial to the world.
Absolutely.
But there's no physical product.
There's no physical product, right? And so it reminds me of and this is not going to help Lev to kind of clip this up. 40-year-old version. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah. Good movie.
Jonah Hill walks into a store, and it's an eBay store, and he finds these roller skates. And he's like, "Ma'am, I'd like to buy these roller skates. They're so awesome." And she goes, "Yeah, aren't they?" And he goes, "Well, here's my money." She goes, "Well, you can't buy them." And he goes, "Excuse me?" She goes, "See, we're an eBay store. And so like, I know you want to buy them, but if you want to buy them, you have to actually go on eBay." And I think that's the conundrum wrapped in the enigma for some of these thought leaders. They've got the base, they have a mastermind, they have one-on-one or group coaching, but that's the extent of their evolution. They don't know what else to do. You've got and some of these other cats that think they know what real estate is, and they're like, well, I'll start a fund, I'll get to these, my base are accredited investors. Maybe I'll take $25,000 minimum investment, put it all together, and I'll start buying apartment buildings. Listen, 101 reasons why right now that does not make money. But these guys, they don't know what to do. They've got an ego and they've got a base, and it's like it's rocket fuel and a match, right? And if you're not careful, it's going to blow up in your face. And then there are other thought leaders in this space that are selling merchant processing. I think Dean has like this unique perspective on, okay, you've got merchant processing as an affiliate that you can sell, or you've got small business funding that you can pitch to your base. Yeah. I think
I was talking to this amazing speaker last night, Rene Rodriguez. This guy speaks to enormous audiences, a paid speaker. Yeah, tall,
handsome guy
from Minnesota.
Told me
Miami.
He's from Minnesota. I looked at him. I'm like, tan, tall, olive skin. He's like, all right, I'm from Miami. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What does a entrepreneurial thought leader need, right? Why would they be interested in creating their own white label or private label funding solution for small businesses? And, it's a 3-legged stool that they require. The number one thing that these folks need is recurring revenue. Their job is stressful. Every month is different. Their revenue goes up and down like a roller coaster, right? Sure, I think the masterminds can smooth it out, but they need dependable recurring revenue. And this provides that, right? Sort of number 2 is that there has to be an audience fit. So the folks that they are talking to need to be in some way related to the small business community, the entrepreneurial community, business advisory and coaching community, right? So that's number 2. And number 3 is that this product needs to make them enough money to be interesting. So it needs to be a high margin product. And Will just brought up merchant processing, and that is not a high margin product.
Merchant process? You mean like credit card swiping?
Yeah, exactly.
So they sell that to who? Small businesses?
Yeah.
Right. And at this point, that product is so competitive, right? Every business uses it, that the margins involved are teeny tiny. You're talking about pennies per account per month for someone who's an affiliate who's bringing these folks to the table as a customer.
Yeah, it's like, congratulations, you made $20 off this account this month. What is that going to do?
Yeah. So if I'm Dan
Go to
Fleischman,
Quiznos or something? Doesn't exist, but
It's good.
yeah, it's
I
good.
warmed it up.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
nice.
we're looking at these amazing folks on the Aspire stages and thinking, what do they need? They just need those 3 things. They need audience fit and synergy. They need a high margin product to push, and it needs to provide dependable recurring revenue.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 most important things. And dependable revenue is great, but they want it to have it be recurring, meaning that it's renewable, right? And these customers come back for that product without them having to push it on them over and over and over again.
Yeah. And it's better than selling T-shirts, right? These guys, all these social media guys sell T-shirts and courses, and you already have this built out. It's not like
Absolutely.
they have to sit there and build out a website and a landing page and a funnel.
They don't have to do any of the work.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Bring the customer.
Sounds too good to be true.
Listen, we built infrastructure over the last 20 years deploying probably $8 billion, right? We know what we're doing. We have a staff that can do it in every facet, whether you're talking about client intake, underwriting, funding, renewals, those the repeat customers. We've built all the infrastructure. So really, it's a match made in heaven for them, because as Dean said, right, they're looking for passive, right, high margin recurring revenue. That's it. That's the answer. You can do insurance, Patrick Bet David, right, a la Patrick Bet David, or you can do.
So what's insurance missing of our three-legged stool?
High margin. Yeah. Doesn't
What's
have
it?
high
Small
margin.
business owners, right? You're talking about a
BOP
guy
policy?
with $300,000 in revenue. It's a BOP policy. What does that cost?
$3,000.
Max.
It might
Yeah.
be 300.
Well, I just mean
tiny.
per year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is $300 a year,
Oh, yeah.
right? Unless it's a construction company with liability or something, right?
And there are a lot of construction and contractors in this space. So with the current, no one's listening, so I'll just say it real quick. But if you're an influencer, you want some water?
No, I'm good.
If you're an influencer, this is the product for you. If your base, if your followers are small business owners, and so it's not for every influencer.
Yeah.
Right? It's not for influencers that have a consumer base. It's not for influencers specifically that have a real estate base, and obviously that's what you do. But I will say that Cardiff lends. We don't lend on real estate development projects, but we lend to real estate companies. And that's like a huge component of our portfolio. We try to distance ourselves from it, because real estate's one of those things, at least from our perspective, where it's feast or famine. When things are good, real estate agents are riding high, buying the fancy cars, buying the fancy house, living the high life. And it's funny because I was just having this chat with Albert Preciado. Can I tell you this really quick? I think you'll like this. Albert Preciado has built a brilliant brand, but the brand is not his portfolio of companies, Ambiance Realty, The Mortgage Guys, or something escrow.
Starts with
Conquer.
Conquer Escrow. Dang, look at you.
I've been paying attention.
Yeah.
I like it.
Student.
Albert's brand is driven. I mean, Albert's brand is Albert.
Yeah.
And so, I think Albert is a brilliant guy, but I gave him the example. I said, Albert, in the early 1900s, the Saudis, the Saudi royal family, hired the British to come there to help them find water. And what did they find? They found oil. And the rest is history. And I think Albert has these three companies, the Mortgage Guys, Ambiance Realty, and Conquer Escrow. And he is the head for all three companies. It's hard enough to manage one company, let alone three companies. I think Dan Fleischman said it the best. He said, for all the companies that I own, I don't operate. I install CEOs, capable people, driven people, and I let them run it. And then they give me updates, either when I ask or when they want to share. That's what Albert needs to do. He needs to double down on his brand, which is driven. And I think Albert is another great example of someone who has a specific audience, right? Very Latino American specifically, very entrepreneurial, small to medium-sized business owners. He has their attention. And he goes live all the time, and he's doing these masterminds every weekend. He's probably driving his wife insane because he's like, do you know what I mean? He's always going. My wife hates when I do social media. She's like, can you put away your fucking cell phone? I was like, dude, I'm
popular.
I'm a girl. Hey, girl.
I'm an influencer.
You don't appreciate me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hey, Dean, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Sorry.
Don't worry, she's never going to watch this.
Yeah.
I told her, don't even go on my social media. Don't like it, don't follow it, don't comment, don't fucking share. Just act like it doesn't exist, because it's not real, right? 2 nights ago, I'm on JSX Fly. Look at me, right? And then this
Wives
morning,
don't like that.
no, and then, well, my wife doesn't have a problem with that, but what I think,
like his day.
yeah, but I think
Mine does not.
the lie of social media is that I flew back on Southwest Airlines.
Not even one mention of it.
No. What am I? I'm not trying to do a deal with Southwest.
That's a good story.
It is a good story, but I think this. Listen, I want to work with JSX, and I'm not going to stop until I manifest that. Right? I'm gonna.
And you're good at that.
I'm going to make it happen. I am very good at that. But listen, I appreciate that. But going back to the Albert Preciado example, it's all about who your audience is and who your followers are. I think his demographic is perfect. So we've built a platform now for him to push business loans to his followers, and it's called Driven Funding.
Yeah.
So shout out to Driven Funding. I think it's going to take off. It's going to be amazing, and I think he needs to. And I think Dan Fleischman put it brilliantly when he said, like, Albert has all these companies; they're not named the same thing, right? You build the personal brand and then leverage your personal brand. Who's the CEO of United? Who's the CEO of Coca-Cola? Okay, who's the CEO of Virgin? Sir Richard Branson, right? And so
Nectar Island.
Yeah, Nectar Island. But from that, like,
And Epstein.
and we're getting canceled. And that's a wrap, guys. We'll see you
Thank you
next
very
time.
much.
You set me
Actually,
up.
I'm not close. This guy, like,
I was going to ask Josh some
FBI.
questions, but now I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
But
cut that.
the point is that you build a personal brand, and you double down on that personal brand. You can't have Conquer Escrow and Ambiance Realty and the mortgage guys. It needs to be Driven Escrow, Driven Mortgage, right? Driven Realty. Everything has to be driven, or it has to be Albert, one or the other.
Yeah.
I think Dan put that brilliantly when he gave me that example of Elevator Studios, Elevator Capital, Elevator Funding. Everything's got to share the same brand. And so I think Dean made this great point yesterday to me, where he's like, all of these people, all these influencers have brands. You don't need to add a funding or capital at the end, right? Weren't you saying that?
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
I think sometimes one word's enough, right? Is that they don't need to explain, right, what this concept is, aside from them doing it on their own social media and their own words.
So give me an example, because you've got Cody Sanchez, who I want to get us in front of.
Yeah.
Right. This is who I want to pitch next to. Cody Sanchez has her brand, which is I think it's Contrarian Thinking.
Yeah.
Contrarian
It's a
something.
little bit weird from a
It reminds me of Ken Fisher, who
company
was like the
perspective. Yeah.
original Contrarian, right?
Sure.
Shout out to Ken, who's probably selling his company right this moment. But Contrarian Thinking. So do you just call it Contrarian, or is it Contrarian Capital, Contrarian Funding, or is it really just Contrarian?
I mean, contrary, when you add the word funding to something, you add the word capital, you're essentially saying that your audience is stupid. They need to be told what this is, right? Nike doesn't tell people, it's not Nike running shoes, right? That's not the brand. The brand is Nike. And what is Nike? Well, Nike is what they want you to think Nike is, right? And so contrarian thinking already has a brand, right? People associate something with that brand. Same thing with Elevator Studios. Same thing with any of these thought leader brands that we see out there, right? Same thing with Brad Lee and Ryan Pineda and David Meltzer. So
yeah, Meltzer's another good one.
and it's a difficult thing to figure out, but when you see that the brand means something to the audience, I don't think you need to add anything to it. Some might require it and some might not.
So the Meltzer example, who we did talk to about building this with yesterday at dinner, that's just going to call them Meltzer.
See, I'm not educated enough to know what his brands
What
are
his
called.
brand is? Okay.
Yeah, but I think we'll find out.
Yeah.
But I think initially you have to
curious.
call it something funding, or right? Initially, until that brand.
I don't
takes
know.
on.
Again, I
Like
think
Driven,
that
for
if
example.
they
Our company is
already-
named. Sorry, I don't want to talk over you. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that if the audience already understands
Yeah.
what this word or group of words means to them, I think nothing else is required. It's when the audience isn't really sure what this means,
Yeah.
and you have to use maybe somebody's name. Well, it'd be awkward to say the product is called Meltzer.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's probably needs to be called Meltzer Funding, Meltzer
Yeah,
Capital,
yeah.
something like that, so that the prospective customer understands
Yeah.
who they're talking to, right?
Yeah.
What are they buying?
You know, it's weird. We worked for a company called Fisher Investments, but we never called it Fisher Investments. We called it Fisher, right? You see, like over the last 20 years, I'm getting the nod from Thomas. I think he's agreeing with this point. Yeah. You know, like businesses nowadays have one name. It's not the Facebook. It's not the Intuit. It's not the Instagram. Shout out to Jeff Fenster for correcting. Thank you for correcting my English. I called it the Instagram, I think, when we did that episode. It's just called Instagram. And I think you have this paradigm shift from front loading all of these words into a name to make it seem more, it's like a mosaic of nonsense. China has recently passed like federal laws to limit the amount of names or words rather that you can have in a name. Because Evergrande Real Estate Realty Funding Benevolent Corporation for the Chinese population. You know, that's how they used to do it. And it doesn't make any sense. And so now you see this paradigm shift to using one name. When we worked at Fisher Investments, we called it Fisher. When I worked at Balboa Capital, we called it Balboa. Cardiff, you're going to love this fucking one. Cardiff used to be called, I'm getting a smile from Dean. Cardiff was called Commercial Finance Ampersand, you know, the little and symbol, Leasing Bank of Cardiff, comma.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Get the
it was.
It was.
There's no way.
We were
They actually don't make
came up with
checks.
that?
Huh?
You guys came up with that?
Well, I think it was the Department of Financial Institutions that came
California,
up with
yeah.
it.
Oh.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to have the word bank in our name without attaching
But you
all of
added
these
every other word
words.
in the dictionary?
Yeah.
We did. Well, there's a nice lady in Sacramento that did. It's not our fault,
Yeah.
honestly.
But I think the point is, right, you have this paradigm shift to using these shorter names. I think if you were to call it like Meltzer, if you were just going to call it Meltzer, it wouldn't make sense. And if you were going to call it Contrarian, it wouldn't make sense. Somehow Cardiff has been able to build a brand over the last 20 years where it's like you can drop the
fluff.
Yeah, right. You can pare back all the nonsense and it's just Cardiff, which is funny. Just Cardiff. Shout out to Uncle Lev, because that's, I think, our Instagram handle. That's why I'm just William Stern. And I think
It doesn't say Uber rideshare service, right? It's just called Uber.
Yeah.
What did it used to say, I guess?
It would probably call Uber ride shifter. I think you're right. You have to start
You have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, you have to start with a longer brand and you eventually kind of pare it back.
But not that long.
Once
Not
it has
Cardiff long. That was long.
That was left. We didn't want to make it easy for you to edit.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
You're going to edit that out.
Yeah.
Josh, we haven't talked about you at all.
No, it's okay.
You're making some amazing content.
I am amazing. What can I say?
And tell us about Don't Buy Real Estate. What's going on?
How many more projects can you jungle before you have a heart attack?
It's just money. I just need money. Do you lend on real estate?
I think
I think I asked you and you said LOL.
Restricted industry, sorry.
No, it's not. I get hard money loans all the time. Business to business.
he's the guy to talk to.
Business to business hard money loans.
Listen, I told Albert Preciado the same thing. I said, you've got these businesses.
LOL. You said LOL?
No, I didn't say LOL. I said, let's build a fund. You have all these followers, right? You can build a fund. You can build an RIA, all of these things that you can build. And Dean's like, well, what about Josh? And I think on Friday, you were supposed to call him back. So now here we are on Wednesday.
Now you got me pinned. Is that why he's here? He's
What
like,
up?
hey,
Hey, let's get him. Let's get him.
attack.
Yeah.
No,
but if
you're putting up this amazing content about the flips that you're doing, right? I'm sure you've got some opinions about where the real estate market's going. Share, tell us.
Share. There's not much to share except we got to just do what we got to do. If you want in, Dean, let me know.
I do.
I don't want to.
I do.
I don't want to have to sell you on it.
There's no
real
selling.
estate.
I saw the spreadsheets. I'm good.
There you go. See, he's good.
Well, it only works
Spreadsheet
out.
Dean.
Well, hold on. Explain the spreadsheets because I think
Don't explain it in detail. We haven't
Yeah.
verified.
But I think the truth is, right, is that the only person who wins big is the guy with the money.
Yeah. Always.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're doing a flip and it takes 3 months and it's not your money, it's probably a waste of your time.
Oh, yeah.
Because time. Okay.
It's two
Yeah.
times.
No, I didn't say
The over.
No.
All you over winners.
Yeah.
No, but if only reason you need the other people's money is because you need the money, right? If the money wasn't an issue, where you had a fund. Now you're keeping all the change, right? You're just paying off your investors.
Well, he's the man to talk
Isn't
to.
this every business owner's dilemma?
Sounds like it. Maybe we should do Cardiff.com. Maybe we should buy that.
For real estate.
Yeah.
Every business owner is sitting in their living room wondering, how do I grow? Right. And I think for the most part, their answer is always, I just don't have enough money.
Well, everyone says lead flow this. They don't have the staff. They don't have the contractors. I feel like I have everything lined up. I get the leads. I'm rejecting leads every single day. I have the contractors. I have people begging to work with me. The money people are begging to invest. It's not
Begging to invest. But let's talk a little bit about the scrutiny that the lender puts on you. What are they looking for? What's the big issue? Why are they only willing to lend X and not Y?
It's just industry standards. It seems like it's all old, ancient. Hey, we're only going to lend 75 to 80% of the after repaired value. That's it. Like, it's just industry standards.
Don't give away too much because we're going to do a mastermind with Preciado about this.
All right, cool.
It's called the Driven Business Summit, and we're going to host it at Wild Jungle in Temecula at Dan's facility. Yeah.
There we go.
Shout out to Shannon for putting everything together. I appreciate it.
Whoever you are. Thank you.
Shannon is Dan's, like, Dan couldn't be Dan without Shannon. Shannon organizes every single event for Dan.
Nice.
She did the 11 City Toy Drive, the Operation, what is it called again? Operation Black Site, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Operation Black
$100
Site.
million masterminds, everything.
Operation
the
Black Site's
Shannon.
insane.
Yeah, it's
That's
wild.
so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Tim Kennedy and a bunch of UFC guys.
Dude, last night at that dinner, I ran into BJ Baldwin.
Right.
I was like starstruck because he's a trophy truck driver. And I used to follow him online. I'm like, and this is, he's like a dude who's my age. And I was like, I wanted to like shake his hand and take a picture. It's like, you got to control yourself.
Yeah.
But I think the point is, right, we don't want to give away all the secrets on how to do this. But I think the point is that if you're a flipper, if you're a real estate agent who wants to be a flipper, right, it's not just finding the properties. It's not that simple.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's properties,
so much
financing. Yeah, it's the whole thing. But I think all real estate agents should do at least 2 or 3. They need a pivot in this market.
And you're prepared to teach this?
I'm prepared to teach it for the small price of $1 million.
You're such a dork, dude. Listen, we do the 5K mastermind. We get 50 to 60 people. Dean's going to teach them about investments. I'm going to teach them about marketing. Direct mail, digital marketing, right? PPC and display, and then SEO. And then Albert's going to teach everything in between about how to build a business from the ground up, how to hire people, fire people, systems and processes. But you should be the fourth leg of the table, if you will.
Yeah, we could teach them everything. I mean, it's...
You should teach it.
Yeah, it's simple.
I've asked you. I sit there at night in my bed, right?
Thinking of me.
Thinking of you.
See that, guys?
Yeah. And I'm texting you and you're like,
I'm asleep, usually.
yeah, you're not responding.
The
That's
version of you that he sees
Is much...
isn't even a version that you are familiar with, right? It's nothing that
talk
you're-
about this because it's always been my issue, right?
But I see it. He just tries to give me more job. Like, it sounds exhausting. What you guys did the last 2 days sounded exhausting.
Wasn't that bad.
It wasn't too bad.
Did you sleep? I don't think you guys slept.
Of course we did.
We slept well.
We slept well.
Really?
Yeah, we were fine. Hey, we had to get up early for the flight, but aside from that, it was just fine.
Lev was,
We're a little tired last night. It's no big deal.
yeah, I mean, Lev was up an hour before us, sitting downstairs in the Wind Tower Suites going, hey, I'm down here just FYI. Do you know what I mean?
But I see what he's trying. Like, I see the goals. I see the vision. It's just exhausting. Like, it's a lot of work to get to where you want to go.
Okay, so hold that thought.
Okay.
I want to ask you a question. I've got a briefcase here
Okay.
with $1 million. You know what? Fuck it. I'm feeling generous. I've got a briefcase filled with $1 billion.
A Billy.
A billy.
Okay, now we're talking.
All right. Do you want it?
What's the catch?
The catch is you can't wake up tomorrow.
Do I have time to, like, what time is it?
He's asking questions. Amazing.
What time is it?
I like it.
And don't make this weird. Don't make this
It
weird.
depends on the time of the day. And the day, actually. So if I have time to set everything up for the $1 billion for my family, my friends,
Yeah, you got time. You got 24 hours
I
left.
might take it.
Take the Billy?
I might take it. 50-50 chance, depending on the day.
So normally
if a
when
contractor quits that day and everything's
my
going to
goodness.
shit, I
So
might take the
And needs a
billion.
hug.
So
Not really a hug. It's just
I told Dan Fleischman I need a hug. I got one yesterday.
Did you really?
I worked so hard all day yesterday on this elevator funding platform.
But it's a 50-50 chance, okay? Go,
It's terrible.
Continue.
So normally when I tell people, I
Say no. Yeah.
say I have a tendency, and Dean was gonna explain this. When I see people with talent, and be careful how I say this, I think the secret to the universe is knowing the true names of things. When I see someone with a lot of talent, but maybe not getting all the power to the ground, right? I want to help because I am very good at executing. I see something I want, right? And then I go and achieve it. And that could be something small. Obviously, it's not physical fitness. But, it's usually something small, and I just get it done, right? I'm very good at like creating checklists and just getting stuff done. A lot of times when I see people with a tremendous amount of talent, but maybe not getting all the power that they can to the ground, and maybe they're not getting the power to the ground because of distractions or just like misappropriation of time. You're juggling 5 properties that you're rehabbing and flipping, and you're driving everywhere like the Orkin man from like house to house.
You saw no good.
Saw the working there.
Spray for radon. Like, dude, not a good use of your time. Okay. And no, I'm not going to say the quote.
Yeah, you wanted to.
So I ask these people who I want to help, I'll give you $1 billion, or I'll be serious. I'll say, if I gave you $1 million, would it help? They're like, yeah, it would probably solve all the problems I have. I said, well, what if I said, I'll give you this $1 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow? Would you take it? Normally they say no, which implies and denotes and indicates that waking up tomorrow is worth more than $1 million. So if you're going to wake up tomorrow, wake up with a mission, and a vision, and execute on the mission and the vision.
Shout out to Bradley
The car salesman?
for the quote. Yeah,
Is that his quote?
yeah
It's not his quote. That's
Well,
not
I'm
his
sure
quote.
he borrowed it somewhere.
That's
Most
my,
recently,
That's
I
my
saw
quote.
Yeah.
That's my quote.
Okay.
We'll run the tape.
See the
I
problem. The
love it.
problem with
That was good. That was good, and then you ruined it. That
Yeah.
was like a good. But we can clip it.
That's the problem with trying to be a thought leader, is that anyone who knows you goes, this guy's full of fucking bullshit. Don't fucking believe $1 million vision, mission. They don't buy any of it. But the truth is the point isn't lost on you.
Yeah.
Right. That
No, I get it.
that if you're going to do something, my mom used to say this to me all the time. She would say, if you're going to write your name at the top of your homework, it better be worth your signature. And that had deep, like, emotional meaning to me. And that's why I was a scholar, right? As a kid and in college. I crushed school academically. It wasn't even difficult because I grinded so hard, probably because I had a chip on my shoulder that I wasn't as smart as Dean. I remember my parents saying, like, well, where are you going to go to college? And I remember saying, I'm going to go to UCSD. No one's ever heard of UCSD, right? If you live in San Diego, you know what UCSD is, but like
The hospital.
yeah,
No,
like,
the
yeah,
college.
yeah. Nobody's ever heard, even no one's heard of the hospital. But my parents, who obviously live in San Diego, were like, "You're going to go to UCSD? Okay, like let's
Tone it down.
yeah, let's San Diego State. That's probably in your future." And I remember grinding so hard to prove them wrong. And it wasn't that I was angry, and it wasn't because I had. There wasn't anger in my heart. It was that I was trying to prove to them, and probably just prove to myself, that I was as smart as Dean thought I was, right? So Dean saw something in me. He saw drive, and he saw trauma. And as I've told people so many times, that's the winning formula for success. Drive plus trauma equals success. And I think when I see so many people who have, I'm not saying you have trauma, but you're an immigrant, right? Immigrant family, and you have a tremendous amount of drive. you should have the type of success that you dream of, right? Not that you've currently sort of materialized. And so that example that I always use of the briefcase, like I can give you $1 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow. There's so much truth to it. Right? You're like joking, like, well,
You said $1 billion. You should have stuck with $1 million. $1 billion sets everyone up generational wealth forever. Like, that's better than.
The point is just how much do you value waking up in the morning?
Yeah.
And if you do, you should feel that way when you wake up in the morning, but no one does. Everyone wakes up and remembers like all the Tsuruses that they have, right?
Here you go speaking Yiddish again.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, everybody duck and cover.
Subtitles.
But I think we got on this topic because you were saying, oh, you're traveling so much. Isn't it tiring? We're like, no. And the truth is that people need to change their mindset, right? You have a brilliant skill set, a tremendous amount of drive, but there's a component that's missing from your equation.
And that's people, humans. You guys do a really good job of recruiting good talent.
I wasn't even going to say that. I think you have tremendous talent. Shout out to Lucas. Is that his name?
Lucas, yes.
Yeah, shout out to Lucas.
He's
Don't
gonna
measure
actually
everyone
watch
by Lev's yardstick.
Yeah, Lev's a.
Human manifestation.
No, but I went to the
AI.
Christmas party. Everyone was pretty sharp, having a good time. They were enjoying.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you got to see that.
I don't even know why I was there.
That was our US. That was our US holiday party. Shout out to all my people who also celebrate.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Holiday party, bro. Holiday. Come on, cut that.
Talk about trans fats, which are a dangerous thing. A lot of people used to think, I can't believe in nut butter and that type of stuff was healthy. But the truth is, grass-fed, grass-finished butter and meats is the way to go. So now that we've closed the circle on that one,
That's a
No
good
idea how
edit.
you're supposed to edit that.
That's all you
It
need.
just cuts to William just talking about trans fats. I don't know.
I don't even think that it's not the right people. I think you have tremendous contractors. You have a system of intake for leads that's amazing. I think you're just missing one component. It's not people. It's, drum roll, ching, 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 money.
Nah, I don't think it's money.
I think it's money.
I think
we set up a fund.
that would just. The problem is I'm doing everything myself. I'm talking content, acquiring the properties, getting the finance,
That's kind of interesting. So that's kind of interesting, right?
getting the contractors, quoting,
You said content, right?
listing.
You're staring right at someone who you can hire full time.
But I still have to be there. Does that make sense? Like,
Do you?
like
Lena
can't-
needs to. Lena
you can't
speaks
replace. No, you can't replace me as the content.
Josh, you're like a cartoon for the small business owner
I want
dilemma.
to be a cartoon,
Right?
Did
I
tell you
mean,
that?
like you'd be a great character,
is a character.
right? This is a
This is a
character.
character.
You are literally speaking to the small business audience,
Oh,
right?
you guys think it's money?
Without me, it could never work.
Yeah, and then there's Dan
If
Fleischman.
I don't read this email.
Right, and then there's Dan Fleischman going, I don't know, I just hire smart people and they just go do it.
That's what I need.
You have it.
No, I don't have.
edit.
That's the problem.
And that's what I was saying. Lucas,
But to your,
I love how you're driven in the morning.
sorry we're
you go to the
attacking
gym. He's like, 6:32 a.m. I'm at LA Fitness working at my abs. Lucas, you got to keep cold calling. Lucas, what are you doing? Nobody cares what you.
but to his point, money will solve that. You can hire better talent. You can hire the right people.
But this is the
Do
dilemma.
you want to?
This is the chicken and egg thing.
Of course.
Okay, so let's do it.
What are you guys waiting for? My checking account number is 7525.
Put it down below. It's a GoFundMe that's set up for it's an in memoriam for his, he's going to have a stroke. Because probably after this,
Eventually,
he's going to,
I'm just hearing my phone
I
vibrate.
feel so bad
right
for
now.
Farah.
Oh, don't feel
the
bad.
kids.
They're rich. They're good.
Yeah.
They're
They're going to be fine.
Is that all you need to be rich? Is money?
You need time.
That's step one.
You need time. And I'll tell you something. This is another quote, and you can make a clip of this because I think it's true. All the money that I accumulate is an attempt to buy back the wasted time from my 20s and 30s. That's it. I don't go to the grocery store. I don't fill up for gas. I don't run errands. I don't go to the cleaners. I don't do any of the repetitive stuff that takes up all the time in the day. And the reason is because those repetitive and mundane tasks need to be outsourced.
Yeah.
And so many small business owners don't understand or own up to this concept. which is just like, you can hire someone who may not do it as perfectly as you do it, but can get 70% of the way there. So let them get 70% of the way there. Let the sum of the individual parts be greater, right, than the sum. Mm-hmm. And the truth is that this is like a small business syndrome or a small business owner syndrome, where they just kind of feel like they have to do everything right. Oh, you didn't key it in right. Happy hour ended 5 minutes ago. We're going to miss money. With the broom, you need to push, don't pull. Or you need to pull, don't push, whatever. However, my dad used to accuse me of sweeping incorrectly because he was a small business owner. Also, there's a GoFundMe set up for my dad down below. Hit that subscribe button or whatever my sons say on YouTube. But the truth is that you have so much power that you need to get to the ground. And I think it's the access to capital. But I also agree with you because I see your perspective, which is you need smart, capable, driven people to execute on the vision that you have.
I think that's the equation. Capital plus people.
What about the trauma?
I don't think you need trauma. I don't think...
Talk to me about your trauma.
Bill Gates have trauma?
Yeah, is there trauma?
Well, Bill Gates is trauma.
He's got trauma.
Besides, he grew up
You think
rich.
it was easy to be a baby genius? Shadow writing computer programs?
He went to private school. He was a nice little rich kid.
Let's not assume that we understand Bill Gates. What we want to try to understand is you. You have a vision and you have something that you're good at, but you can't keep running around like the Orkin man spraying everybody's house.
But I'm going to have to until we get capital plus people equals...
Okay, the capital part is easy. This is a Dan Fleischman. It's a
people.
checklist. Okay, people.
Yeah, so how do you guys
What
go
are you
through
meeting with
your-
Lena?
Next week?
Why not this week?
'Cause this week's tough.
No, it's not. You had lunch with me today.
I was forced with a gun. Said lunch, question mark.
Lena could have been
gun
there.
emoji.
Listen, if you offer a free meal to Lena, I'm pretty sure she's showing
Yeah,
up.
that's true. No, but this week's tough. I have 2 properties hitting the market. We're rainstorms. I got to pray to every single god that none of the roofs cave
This is
in.
the small business
This
owner
is
syndrome.
wonderful content
Yeah.
for you guys.
Yeah.
Please enjoy.
Yeah.
welcome.
You ask a business owner, you're like, hey,
But it's because I don't have good people. Like, for example, I have a property I'm getting keys for tomorrow. I have to evict the guy. I hired a property manager to do one thing.
yeah.
Somehow I'm on the phone with a tenant. He's calling me direct saying, hey, what's going on? These guys are telling me I have to leave. I go, yep, you got to leave. And then I'm negotiating cash for keys with this guy instead of the company. I don't know how he got my number or whatever. Long story short, I got the guy out and it cost me X amount of dollars, probably cheaper than what they could have done. And I'm meeting the guy tomorrow to get the keys out so I could start on a project. No one else could have done that the way I
No
did.
one?
Absolutely not. Not that specific example. I don't think anyone.
Yeah. No one can make a pizza as good as me. That's why I have to stay in the back in the kitchen and make all the pizzas.
So Dave Portnoy just had an episode.
yeah.
I forget where, maybe somewhere in Massachusetts or New Jersey, and it was with a man who's running a 4th generation pizzeria.
Saw that. That's about
He
to
said
close. That's about to
no one-
close. That's
No
about to
one,
close.
no one can move the pizza around in the oven the way he can because his dad taught him and his grandfather taught his dad.
Yeah.
And you listen to this and you see a lot of similarities.
Yeah, it does. Huh? Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it,
I remember.
No, but it's true. At the end of the day, no one's got the game that I got with these tenants or property managers or contract. Maybe not with contractors because they all.
We believe you.
But I have a skill set that no one else can replicate.
Well, then don't teach it at a mastermind. Holy shit.
I
Holy
could
shit.
for the
Holy
right price.
shit.
I think his time
may
is
need to
worth
get-
$1 billion.
You need to be vaccinated by a billionaire.
I think they tried that.
Yeah. We're going to get canceled. You're not the best negotiator. You're not the best property manager. You're not the best designer. You're not. He's going to punch me. You're not the best. You're not.
He looks
yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
gonna hurt.
No, it's going to hurt. That's fine. But you're not the best at construction. You're not the best at cold calling. You're not the best at picking properties. You're not the best at negotiating values. And
What is happening?
He's jumping you down to build you back up.
Yeah, I'm jumping you down to build you
Okay,
up. This
yeah.
is the billionaire's vaccination. This is the billionaire's vaccination, which is that you're not him, right? You're all of it, but you're not him individually. So outsource the him individually to other people.
Who are qualified? I agree.
Yeah. So let's do
But
that.
how do you? But you don't think any of these guys walked that him level for X amount? Like, when was the last time you made a sales call? Like, how long did it take?
20 years ago?
Last night.
Besides that,
Well, but yeah, so that's a good point. So, and thanks for saying that, Dean, because I understand what you mean. I was selling last night, but I was selling the vision of something that, yeah, exactly. That's high level.
Yeah.
That's not weedish. That's not myopic. And I think the billionaire's vaccination, which is something that I just created, is which is it's just explaining that you're not him, and that you need to outsource those individual components of your business to smart, capable, talented, and driven people, right? But that it's not you. That the biggest limitation in this whole equation is actually you. And that is our time for today. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I do think.
Where was the part where he brings me up? I missed that.
We're missing this part.
Stay tuned for next episode where we bring Josh up.
We're building, put them back together.
Yeah. What was that real estate guy?
Mr. Potato.
The one's like, and I was doing a bunch of drugs and I was fucking a bunch of chicks and I got this chick, the real estate company, pregnant. And then I had to go to rehab and then I'm out and I'm clean. What was that guy's name? It was Tarek. Tarek something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. He said
that?
He said all this stuff, and then he's like, "Buy my book, coming out March 20th or whatever."
gosh.
He's got a fund. Good fund.
I'm sure.
I hope so. But the funny thing is, I saw a commercial for him. It was like on Instagram or something like that, and it was him laying on a couch, and I thought of you. Him laying on a couch while his new wife was running around the property they just rehabbed, lighting candles. Did you see that?
No.
And it was just like, this doesn't seem believable because at the level he's not at the actual properties choosing the color pillow to go with the right fragrance the right candle and fragrance, right?
Which I did yesterday.
I follow your don't buy real estate handle. I know what you're doing.
Good one.
Yeah, thanks.
By the way, that Valley property looks insane.
Yeah, they all look good.
Yeah. But I got a gal that can help you with design and working with the contractors. And I think you're going to love her. I think she's supremely talented. She's very driven and also has trauma. And so I think it's a winning formula. And I think you've got some new contractors who are amazing, and you just keep outsourcing it. And you need to focus on just building the fund bigger and bigger. And I think honestly that you can. And I know I say this to you, and I don't know if you actually believe it. I think you're actually turned off by it. But I think we do the Driven Business Summit, and we export that and make a facsimile of it, rinse and repeat all over the nation, 13 cities, including San Juan, Puerto Rico. And you can teach, right, the method of your madness to other people. And I think you can make money from doing that. And there's an element of philanthropy to it because you're teaching someone how to do something and it doesn't infringe or derogate or take away from your success. In fact, it's an exponent of your success, right? It's a multiplier effect. And that's what I really want. That's why I want you to meet Meltzer, and that's why I want you to meet Dan and some of these other guys. Obviously, you already know Albert. But I think we start doing this and you will naturally get pulled away from the rigors of your day-to-day management, right? And you'll have no choice but to like sort of give more slack to others in your organization, right? I think it's going to be amazing.
And somewhat, I'm watching sort of you guys talk about this, and I see, you're skeptical about it. And I think the audience should be too, right? Yeah. Every small business owner is skeptical when they're talked to this way. It's understandable. But if we think about the examples of someone like Tarek or the folks on $1 Million Listing, right? They were in the same position, right, as any real estate entrepreneur doing flips or selling properties. How did they go from owner-operator to an enterprise? What's the word? I think the word is lever, right? What was the lever that pushed these people from owner-operator to something much bigger? In their case, the lever is the television, right? So in your case, It might be social media. It might be taking bigger risks and plunging yourself into a project that's much bigger, right? Pooling all of your capital and taking a much bigger risk. Because what we find is that sometimes we park our car in a bad neighborhood, right? And we have all the best intentions in the world, but we've put ourselves in a position to be working on a business that where margins are too low, the competition's too high. It's a dying business, right? And business owners just sort of continue along this path mistakenly and don't understand that it is time to pivot. Yeah. And we see this on social media, right? We see this with small businesses. Sometimes you've got to stop taking the same steps over and over again and pivot, right? And that's something that we're really good at.
Yeah.
Right. We know when Cardiff needs to pivot. We know when we need to pivot personally. We've done it time after time over the years, right? The company doesn't look anything like it did 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah. And so all of these iterations, right? The pivoting, right? And those levers, that's how someone gets from 1 million to 5 million, 5 million to 10 million, 10 million to 20 million. Completely new paradigms are required to go from one level to the next.
He's so, Josh is so unique, and I don't think that this is not like
this is the build-up portion.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Well, I just think if you're leading these masterminds and for 1 day's worth of work, you make 25, 30 grand, and that requires you to speak for an hour or two, and you're doing that once or twice a month, all year long, that's a program, that's a curriculum that is teachable and repeatable, that everyone that is involved in the real estate market in some capacity can learn from and grow from. And I think you're a fantastic teacher. The way you explain what you do to me is
If that clip just stopped right there.
Came off.
no.
He's giggling.
I think the way
I
you
can explain what you do to me.
To me.
I was going to use the word. I don't want to use the wrong word was the problem, but I think the way you can explain stuff to me about what you do in such simple and understandable terms for someone that's not involved in real estate leads me to believe that you have mastery of something. Einstein used to say, if you understand something that's complex and it can explain it to a child, right, then you truly have mastery of the subject. When you explain to me the process of finding these opportunities, negotiating a price, a wholesale price, buying this unit, doing the construction, the rehab, finding the contractors, design, execution, negotiating with neighbors on fence lines.
All of it.
Right? It's wild. But the way you boil it down in such, in mathematics, they would call it like the least common denominator.
LCD.
Yeah. It's such a brilliant and easy way to understand it. And then you're like, when you're on the outside looking in, like we're like, oh my God, I want to get involved in something like that. How can I invest in it? And I feel like sometimes when I say that, like, oh, I'll invest in this next round with you. You're like, dude, don't do it. Do you follow my social media? Everything's falling apart. Totally. The rain's destroyed the drywall. The contractors are drinking micheladas.
We know a lot of people like this.
Yeah. But the truth is, from the outside looking in, your business is brilliant, right? It's time to scale, and it's time to teach it to other people. And it's time for you to go from 10 million in revenue to 15 to 20 to 25 and beyond. And I think this dynamic duo, right, this triangle, this big three at Yalta, if you guys remember the World War II.
No.
Big three at Yalta?
Who knows about that?
Oh, unbelievable.
They don't even teach that in history
You
class
guys have
anymore.
to read
Books.
books.
Something.
What is
They read
Gary
like,
Vee? Don't read anything. Books are a waste of time.
Small books.
Yeah.
He's coming to San Diego.
He's coming to Everbowl.
Nice.
Yeah, this conversation is so interesting, because we're talking about the subject matter of what this podcast was supposed to be.
It's not about you, right? This is about
forget Josh.
This is about
we love Josh, but this
is about the three business owners that are actually listening right now in Mumbai.
3.5.
Mumbai. That are commenting down below.
Yeah.
This really resonated with me.
Yeah. It's like without that lever, you never get to where every small business wants to go. Where do the small business owners want to go? Why, we've talked about their trauma and what a small business owner is. Why did they even start? Why did they leave their job? Right? Because they thought they could do it better, right? They know better. They're a little bit of a know-it-all, right? They've got a little bit of self-confidence, right? A little chip on the shoulder.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what are they after? Just one thing, right? It's not all of that woo-woo philosophical bullshit we hear.
Absolutely.
Not to pee on everybody's parade. They're after fuck you money, right? Everybody wants the fuck you, right? Want to tell everyone fuck you, right? That's what the chip on the shoulder is about. And that's what being a small business owner is about. It's having fuck you money. You want me to do that? Fuck you, right? You've got an opinion? Fuck you, right? And without levers to get your business from 7 figures to 8 figures to 9 figures, it's never going to happen, right? And so every small business owner needs to figure out what that lever is to get them ultimately that prize at the end of the rainbow that they want. And I don't know if that prize is going to be fulfilling for them. Sometimes the fuck you money doesn't fill the void. It doesn't fill the hole that they have inside of them.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Don't get philosophical. The truth is, don't get philosophical. Just like a mouse to cheese, find the fucking money. And the only way to find the fucking money, right, is to yield control to other people and to delegate. Delegate to smart, driven, passionate people that not only believe in your vision, but want to help shape your vision. Remember this, people tend to support that which they help to create. So it's not just singularly about your vision. It's about incorporating the passionate, intelligent, and driven people's interpretation of your vision, right? And amalgamating, mixing that into your vision to create a stronger, more inclusive brand. And I think if small business owners can start executing on these ideas, they will find themselves not working in the front of the house or the back of the house of their business, but instead scaling the brand and finding the true, right? Finding the true meaning to what it means to be a business owner, which is to have time. Dean said it was fuck you money, but once you get the money, then you realize it's not about the money. It's just about buying back the time you wasted. And I think we're good. Yeah? So stay tuned. We're gonna do some contracts with Josh, and we're gonna put some deals
Josh's
together.
Punch him.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But listen, we're gonna do some deals. We're gonna do some deals. And listen, for all of you guys who are interested in learning more about real estate, go ahead and look up Josh's Instagram handle at Don't Buy Real Estate. Stay tuned for the 5K Driven Business Summit, where he's going to be teaching about flips, rehabs, negotiation of contracts, working with wholesalers. Am I missing them? I mean,
Throw in some marketing.
yeah, and some marketing.
Full
Cold
cycle
calling,
real estate
direct
business,
mail.
right?
Yeah.
From loan fundings to property sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's so important. Too many real estate agents are just sitting on their hands, believing that there's nothing that they can do, and they're just a victim. Yesterday I saw, and I know we're wrapped up, but yesterday I saw an Instagram post of a guy pretending to be John Wick showing a property on Instagram. I was like,
What?
it's over.
John
This guy's
Wick?
a real estate agent dressed up in a black suit with a black tie and a white shirt, and he's running around the property and he's shooting into the samurai swords and pistols and running around the house doing somersaults. And you're like, this isn't going to age well.
Love, are we hot or cold?
Still hot.
We're still hot?
Oh.
All right, well, we'll end it there. We'll see you guys next time.